Hi there. I'm excited for this week. We're going to be looking at the topic of assistive technology. So what is assistive technology, or sometimes referred to as AT? By the way, I'm sure you've noticed that in education, and in particularly in special education, there is no shortage of acronyms. So assistive technology is basically any item, a piece of equipment or a product, whether it is acquired commercially, or maybe it's even something that's been modified or custom made, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capability of individuals with disabilities. And so a lot of times, like, people think that assistive technology is for people who have complex or significant disabilities. For example, maybe people that are deaf or hard of hearing, or people that are blind or have low vision, or maybe those with physical and or developmental disabilities. However, we now know that when assistive tools and adaptations are made widely available to all in a general environment, that many people, not just those with exceptionalities and disabilities, can benefit. So for example, you might even think about like curb cuts, the places in a sidewalk that come down, and they were made originally so that people with wheelchairs would be able to use the sidewalks more easily. But really, when you think about it, those have really turned out to benefit many people, maybe people on bicycles or parents with strollers. Some of us even find that when we're approaching a sidewalk like that, that rather than stepping down, we'll just take that curb cut. It makes it even easier as we're walking. Maybe you've used closed captioning, even if you are not hard of hearing or deaf. So closed captioning was originally created for people who had challenges with hearing. But we find that it's used a lot of times, like in airports or sports bars, or maybe when you're working out at the gym, or maybe even at home when you have a noise that's competing. Or I know that when I watched the musical Hamilton on Disney Plus, that there was just so many words happening that it was helpful to me to turn on the closed captioning so that I could just follow the story better. And so what we find is that in the classroom as well, that sometimes when we make these, when we bring in assistive technology, it definitely is helping our students who have special needs, but it sometimes even ends up helping other students. So when we have maybe a puzzle that that says the state names as you lift them up, so that students who have challenges with reading aren't having to read the state name, we know that that could actually benefit other students as well, that when they hear that, that is a way for them to learn in addition to the reading of the state name. So it's kind of exciting. Assistive technology can be something that is something that you have to purchase and it's quite expensive, or sometimes it's just really an inexpensive, simple tool, or sometimes it's even something, like I mentioned before, that can even be something that is created by you. So for example, I was once at a local child care center where someone had taken some Legos and created a device that a spoon or a fork could slide into, that made a grip that was better for the child to hold on to the fork and spoon. And it was a child who had some challenges with their hands. And so I thought, and first of all, the child was excited to use it because it was made from Legos. And but also it truly did help them. But it was something to where, could they have went online and maybe found a tool? Possibly, probably. But assistive technology is sometimes even just brings out the mother of invention in all of us. So like we might see in classrooms where students are using audio books, where they're reading on the screen and the words are lighting up as they're reading, and they may have headphones on and they're hearing the text. That can be wonderful for students who have some learning disabilities that make it challenging for them to read particular text. But it also can be a way to even support all of our learners. Sometimes we'll laminate books and laminate the pages, or we'll buy books that have those really tough pages or have laminated pages, because a child may have a hard time turning pages that are real thin and light, but when there's some weight to the pages, it works better for them. We may find that some students do really well with transitions if they have a timer, if they have a little sand timer where they can see the sand going down, or maybe it's a visual timer. If you've seen those visual timers that when you set the timer, the time slot that you're waiting for all turns red. And then as the timer gets closer and closer, there's less and less red. So even a child who doesn't really quite understand, okay, we're going to be cleaning up in 5 minutes, or you have 5 more minutes to work, by setting that timer, they can visually see that. So that's an example of assistive technology. I'm sure you've seen the little wiggle seats, the little air cushions that kids can sit on, and that can really help sometimes with sensory processing disorders or students who have attention issues, and it kind of gives them that movement. Sometimes teachers will wear microphones. They'll use like what's called a little FM device, and it could be helping students who not only are hard of hearing, but also students who maybe have auditory processing issues, because those tend to kind of reduce the background noise and really amplifies the teacher's voice. And sometimes even just something as simple as a special pencil grip. And oh my goodness, there are so many different kinds of pencil grips out there. And as in our school, we have like 8 different types of pencil grips, you know, being used around our school by different students, just because of different preferences and also different needs. But it can be sometimes just a child who that just kind of helps give them a reminder of how to hold a particular pencil. And then it could be another child who really needs that physically to help them make that pencil grip proper. So assistive technology can just really run the gamut. And so that's what we're going to be looking at this week. And we're going to be looking at some different examples of assistive technology and why we use it, and just some general guidelines and such. So I think it's a fun thing to learn about. If you are currently working in a center or in an educational setting, I want to challenge you to be on the lookout, because you have assistive technology, whether you are really aware of it or not. And hopefully, as you see some examples shared, you may say, oh, we have that exact product, or it may be where you say, oh, we have something like that, or maybe even something that that you just had never thought of as being assistive technology. Maybe you may recognize that. And I hope you'll get that opportunity. You'll take advantage of that opportunity to share that on our discussion boards. So it's going to be an awesome week, and look forward to seeing you online.